Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Kashif Boothe podcast. If you're new here, each week I sit down with a guest and we discuss their career so far, the highs, the lows, and what's next for them. Today's guest is Saraphina Mattis. We've actually known each other for a very long time, but funny story, I kept on forgetting who she was and every time I met her. So it wasn't until 2017 I was like, see, I'm going to remember who you are and have it in my head. And fast forward 4 years later, and we've gone on holiday together to amazing film festival. We've worked on a few projects, and I'm sure we'll get into that soon.
Yeah.
So welcome to the show, Saraphina.
Thank you, Kashif, for having me. I really appreciate it.
Good. I'm happy to have you on here. As you know, I've rebranded this podcast, and in the first season, I'm interviewing Black women who work in film and TV. And you're one of the first people I thought of because you're so talented. You are a writer, director, editor. She is talented. I'd say
Multifaceted.
that's the word. Multifaceted. Like I wish I could do what she does. Okay, let's just say that. I'm the writer producer and that's my lane. So that's my lane.
Wow.
So how did you get started? Like, how did you get into film and TV?
Okay, so how do I get started? I'd say it's weird to sort of distinguish a start point because I've sort of been doing this for as long as I can remember, if that makes sense. Like I remember in college, like making random films and like just little things, just short clips and just having it be my own. I really got stuck in like and started taking it seriously as a career option when I went to university. And around the second year, I remember feeling like I don't think I want to stay here till the end. So let me see if I can get some sort of internship or some sort of job. I know this is what I want to do. And it didn't quite work out like that. I stayed in uni, but I picked up an internship with YOCF, Young Ones Creative Forever. Brilliant creative agency based out of London. All young Black creatives. They just sort of gave me a shot. I sent them this ridiculously audacious email, like emerging, amazing filmmaker on the rise. And I sent them a show reel, which was horrible. And I just said, look, this is where I want to be, but I don't mind starting off making your tea and just learning the ropes and seeing what this is all about. So that's how I got started doing like videography and editing. And I'd done that for a year. And then after the year was up, I became a junior editor and junior creative with them. So that was just sort of how I, began formulating ideas in terms of content. But I always knew sort of like film, TV is more sort of where I want to land eventually. Anyway, fast forward, done a couple of jobs, done a couple of running jobs, done some jobs in facilities in post-production companies, and then I ended up at Initial TV. And then I'd done something which is so ridiculous. I connected a HDMI cable in a meeting with the head of Channel 5, and the executive producer of Big Brother was like, do you want to come and edit the main show? Because like they were all scrambling, like, oh my gosh, we can't get this thing to work for this big presentation. And I was like, look, I'm pretty sure this is the connection. Popped it in, the screen appeared, everyone was like, whoa. So that's sort of how I got that job. But I was working at Initial and I was doing all their casting tapes for Big Brother and stuff. So that's essentially how I got into a break into television. And yeah, I've just been doing it ever since. Right now I work for a company called, sorry, I feel like I'm rambling. I work for a company called Method Film, which is a brilliant, creative agency production company. Also got a studio space, ran by, Paul Akinrinola, who is a, photographer. He's a creative director of Method. And yeah, he's just a brilliant DP and director. He was the cinematographer for my short film, Talia Versus And yeah, it's just brilliant place to work.
And what inspired you to get into film and TV? Like, what are some of your inspirations?
Oh, some of my inspirations. I think I draw inspiration from a lot of places, but I think I was one of those kids who was, shoved in front of the TV and said, "Here, watch it and enjoy. This is your life now." So I just remember really enjoying and getting sunk into the world of TV and film. And I think it's something that's made me, I'm a horrible companion. I'm a horrible person to watch a film with, because I sit there silently and I want to soak in every single word, every single moment. I'm not turning my head. I've been trained that way in watching films. But yes, definitely from a young age, probably going to family's house and sitting down watching videos of The Simpsons. Sister Act 2 was a big one for me. I think the film that done it for me, that made me say, I want to do this, Goodfellas, cliche, but it is what it is. And yeah, that's sort of just how I got into it.
And you have a very specific writing style, because we was going to work on a web series a few years ago called Shay and Aya, and that was heavily influenced by the influencer YouTube culture. And then when we speak about Talia Versus, the web series pilot we did, we'll go into that later, but that's a very mockumentary style. You have a specific writing style and aesthetic. Where does that come from?
I'm really not sure. I think I have a lot of influences in terms of my style, and I think heavily it's just Black women. I think the Black women around me informed me and influenced me. I was raised by Black women, and I just find us so interesting, and what we do, what we talk about, our thoughts, our views, our just our worldview, our perspective. And I just feel like a few people who have done it well, and I just want to continue. I just want to carry on with the torch and be like, yeah, let's keep this train going. It's not necessarily like a thing where I've sat back and thought, this is the perspective I've got to have. And I think it's cool because Black women appreciate it, or I found that Black women have enjoyed my work or what I've put out there. And that's sort of the thing that I want to be the most, that's what I want, right? I'm not really too fussed about selling shows to networks and selling shows to channels, as long as I do right by Black women and accurately display some of their, trials and tribulations. Not everyone, we're not a monolith, but if some of us can feel seen, and I feel like that's my job done, that's my work done.
And continuing on from that, because you've made a point of that, you really want to just make sure that what you're making Black women can relate to and are happy and can see themselves on screen. From the reaction from Talia Versus, it has been so positive, not just the production quality, but the storyline itself and the representation. And we always have this conversation about representation in the UK, and everybody wants a UK insecure. From the success of Talia Versus, do you see that happening more now?
This is the thing, we have always been ready.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't want to show us. They don't think that we can sell. They don't think, whoever these people are in, the position of commissioners and et cetera, they don't think our stories are strong enough on their own without some sort of proximity to whiteness, I found. So I think that's why a lot of the time we're not on TV in the ways that we should be. There have been examples through the years where we've seen Black stories being told, but it seems to be far and few in between. And I think that's down to not the audience and not the Black filmmakers. It's just down to the landscape of British television, the commissioners and the controllers. And that's why you see time and time again, people just going to America, because they're going to give us opportunities that we just don't have here.
can you reflect on how we did it in 3 weeks? Because a lot of people don't believe that we pulled it off in 3 weeks. We wrote it on the train. So like, tell them, like, can you go in detail, like the madness of how we...
Yeah. So essentially I think we've done so many projects together. So much, like I've edited a lot of your work, we've sat down and written things, you've helped produce things, like some stuff that's not made, some that is, whatever. And I think with Talia Versus, like lockdown 1 hit, and I was just like, do you know what, I could be sitting here sending out a film, sending out, you know, feelers, and just be like, what do you think of my perspective as a writer? What do you think of my perspective as a director? And just getting some sort of information, but I didn't have that thing. I've got all this stuff, all these years of projects and films and music videos and whatever that I've worked on, that I've edited, that I've, you know, AD'd on, or whatever it may be. And I feel like, yeah, I just needed something that had my own name on it. So yeah, lockdown, we got out of lockdown, and I knew like the numbers weren't adding up. I was thinking we're going back into a second lockdown in it, like regardless. So I said, in this space, in this time, in this month, we will be making a film. So I think first week of October, I spoke to you, I spoke to Raylene, and I spoke to Sasha. Raylene Murray, who was the production manager, Sasha Lewis, who was the producer. And I said, guys, I can get at my aunt's house on the 21st of October. We got to shoot this thing. And then you guys just brilliantly went out and just done your thing, like got everything together that we needed. Got the cast together, got the, you know, location prepared. Me and Raylene was out like shopping for little bits that we could throw in the scenes. And then, like, amazingly, Israel Peters came through with a shoot, so he was able to give us all the kit that we needed. So we were able to shoot on Ari, and we had all these amazing lights. So yeah, it just sort of, it was like some sort of God-sent moment where everything, the stars literally aligned, and yeah, everything just came together for this day. Never happened to me before. I'm not someone who like walks into luck or whatever, but yeah, I think it was just sort of meant to be, and it was just the time to make something happen. So yeah, wrote it on the train on my way to work in 40 minutes. Sort of revisited for editing purposes, but I was just determined more on the side of getting something visual, which now looking back in retrospect, I think if I had worked and fleshed out that script even more, it could have been a heightened version of what it is, and that would have really allowed me to sort of sell the moment. So now we're working on further episodes and whatever, and developing things we can't talk about, but yeah.
That's like you say, like the listeners who've listened, going through this whole first season, they keep hearing me say, look, there's stuff I can't talk about, but it's like when you put out a solid body of work and you work hard and you have a solid team and the right people will watch it. That's just how it is. Like the right people will watch it. And yeah, it was great. It was a great experience. I mean, like I said to you when we were shooting and preparing, like that was such a great team of people to work with, because sometimes you just don't get people with that same work ethic. Like, you know, like some people will say, oh, I've got this going on, I've got that going on. It's really how you manage your time and what you put as high priority. That's what I did. I was like, okay, cool, everything else can go to the side. Let me put this high priority, and we just did it. Yeah, because I remember we was gonna go for a casting agency, and then they were charging too much money, so it was like, you know what, forget that. And then it was like, okay, cool, we've got like a week to get actors. So I was like, cool. I DM'd every actor I think I've ever worked with. It's paid, is this, that, let's just go. And
this is the thing, and it was crazy because I remember you was casting something at the studio, at Medford Studio, and I walked through and I saw Camila, who is we share like I have a cousin who's a good friend. So I saw her and I was like, what are you doing here? She was like, I act. And then seeing her, I was like, oh, she might be good. Let me get her to audition for Talia. And then sort of the same with Princess. You sent me her details and you said, look at Princess. I think she'll be good as the lead. And then I remember watching all of these casting tapes. Oh my gosh, so many casting tapes. And Princess, I saw her and I said, that's it. This is it. Like, this is who she is. Like, she just was perfect for Talia. And I think, yeah, them two, they just went above and beyond in terms of their characters. Everyone did, absolutely everyone did. But yeah, they really embodied those characters for me when they auditioned, and then we sort of got them together and made Princess and Camila do a read together as Bo and Talia, and that was just, it was so nice to watch because they just have this natural chemistry, and I think that is another thing that really reflected on screen and really resonated with a lot of women like them and their friends who might be watching them like, it's not a good decision, not a good decision. And then Jamal as well. Jamal is another person, one of your contacts, right? Who you brought in and said, this is the guy. And I remember on the day saying to him, like, you're gonna go to the next place because you're just sick. He's such fun to work with. Mm-hmm. Great actor.
And I think what a lot of people really liked about Talia Versus is how the roles were reversed. And what I mean by that is it wasn't a lighter skinned lead character with the dark skinned best friend. It was the other way around. And you have all of those friendship dynamics all the time. And it was just great to see that on screen. And I think that's what really set it apart as well. I feel like. Yeah.
I mean, you know, the thing is that thing in particular, that wasn't intentional. Mm-hmm. What was intentional for me was everyone's black, and that the lead is dark skinned, because, you know, I'm not a light skinned woman, so I was just thinking, let me just try to put some more of what I look like out there as well. But yeah, that's all I really wanted, to just have a dark skinned lead, and yeah, she's amazing. She's brilliant.
Amazing. And you know, like, it's so funny, like when I did my web series Nate and Jamie, I think I told you the story, like how that all kind of happened by accident. Did I ever tell you?
Yeah. Have you told the listeners though?
Yeah, they've heard it, so don't need to hear it again. Yeah, and it's funny, I was talking to the lead actor like a few weeks ago, Josh actually, who played Jamie, and he was saying that basically we could team up and be the next like Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan. And I was like, what are you talking about? But then when I thought about it, I understood, because in a way he was my muse, because if it wasn't for him telling me that story all them years ago, then I wouldn't have come up with Nate and Jamie and everything else like that. And I think that's the good thing about working with someone like you, and then with your sisters, there's all that good rapport between us. So that's why I feel like everything come together very well. So it's like, okay, and we took it on as our own project, and that's what you want.
Literally
people.
So. Literally. Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. And I have to agree, like 100%. That's really what made this what it is, all of our individual relationships, and that we're able to just lean on each other in the way that we are. Mm-hmm. Because I don't know if a lot of people know this, but Sasha, the producer, is my sister. Rayleigh, the production manager, is my cousin, who's basically like a sister. Martine, the creative director, is my sister. Roxy starred in it. She's my sister. Like, there's so much family involved. Rochelle, hairstylist. My best friend, Cara, who was the costume, who helped with costume, is a cousin. So yeah, it was really nice to be able to lean so heavily on these people and them all know what they're doing. Because a few years ago, I think when I was in college or university, we all got together and we started doing something called Toast. We would interview people and then we would like put those interviews out on YouTube, like really simple, shot on a Canon like 7ED or something. And we called it Toast, and it was just championing Black British talent. So yeah, that was something that we all done together, and then we sort of went our separate ways into our fields, and then just grew and learned about what we wanted to do and who we are as people. So then it was really nice to come back together once we've all got so much experience and just put something out that was just at a good level, if I do say so myself. And I think we could just continue to do that. And it's the same with you and us, you know what I mean? Like, we share a cousin, and, you know, meeting all those times and being like, oh yeah, it's me. And then finally meeting,
like, yo, hi, you know. But, you know, I blame Kiana anyway, because she never formally introduced us, and she never like said, well, you know, she does this and he does that. It just never, it was just us literally finally talking to be like, oh, okay, and then
we do the same things, we like the same things, we know the same people. I don't blame Kiana, I blame you, because you forgot. But yeah, like being able to get together and work together, it was just it's just always been good vibes, and it's just always been there's just always been a level of transparency, which, you know, just it doesn't come along, it doesn't come easily in the field that we work in. So yeah, I think it's just great. And you are non-stop workaholic, always on the ball, always knows who to contact, always knows who to call kind of guy. So to have you exec produce Talia Versus really honestly made it what it was. And I think I was even talking to Sasha today about it, because she's got a project on and she called me for some advice. I said, why are you asking me? You need to go ask Kashif, because it's the guy who knows. He knows what he's talking about. She's like, oh yeah, you're right, I'm going to schedule a meeting.
Oh god, it was like I was more than happy to come on board, because like I said, like it's really about building that rapport, and that's why I think it was great having you on the show. And I've got Yaz coming on soon. I think it's really about for people to listen and understand that, like, you know, Yaz is my exec producer. I've mentioned her before on the podcast, and it's like, it's really about working with people with who you like, so that when you get in, everybody wins. Do you get what I mean? And that's how you build great. That's how you get great productions. You know, you really got to network across. That's Issa Rae said it best: network across, not just up but across. And that's how you actually
vertical.
Yeah, exactly. That's how you get the job done.
No, trust me. Like, but you know, I even, sorry to cut you.
No, go on.
But I even had an idea the other day. It might be just the dumbest idea. It might just be what's already out there, a production company. But I feel like Black British creatives and filmmakers should probably do some sort of partner situation, and then like every month make a film, and then everyone's films will be made, and then everyone's films will be financed. Like, just something. We need something. Everyone throw £200 in a month. And then you've got a crew, because everyone has to be, like, we all have to be these freelancers who know 10 crafts, because you can't just get into a company as a Black person. Unfortunately, you have to know every software and everything about camera work. So it might be a shout. Might just be ramblings.
No, see, I understand what you mean, and it would be so great if there was such solidarity amongst people, but it's just not a thing what everybody wants to do. That's just what it is. I feel like, you know, some of the time within this industry, I think, you know, people are cliquey. They've got their cliques about who they like, and they're just going to stay with that person and that group of people, I should say, and they're just going to stay with them. That's just how it is. Me, I'm trying to have a clique. I'm just trying to be of everyone. I'm networking across, I'm networking everywhere, looking at the allies, what can you bring, you know, every kind of aspect is what I'm kind of really trying to do.
Avenue.
Exactly. So what would you say is like the best advice you've received in your career so far?
Ooh. Do you know, this every time someone asks me this question, I forget. And the advice always comes back to me, like, randomly. But I'd say most recently, the best advice I have been given personally, and this is because I'm a very anxious person, and I have the tendency to enter spaces cautiously, is to stop entering spaces and looking at everyone up here and then me down here, but coming in at this level and then just leading with what you're there for. Like, believing in myself to the point where when I enter a room, my perspective is valid, my craft is valid, and if people aren't trying to take all of me, then they might not be for me. It might not be a thing of, oh, actually, yeah, let me not bend and shift and shape myself to be who you want me to be, but let me just be myself, enter the space, have my full perspective out there, take it or leave it. You know, I think, I don't know who quoted this or whatever, but it's the best thing you can be in this world is yourself, because everyone else is taken. Wait, hold on, that just might be something from film, I don't know, but whatever it is, that.
No, that's good. And I was thinking as you were talking as well that, you know, as a single mother and working in this industry, what is it like for you? Because you're always working. I use you as an example to other people. I'm like, well, Saraphina, she's a single mother and she's still out here like grinding, got her career, is able to pull things off. So what is it like navigating as a Black woman in this industry, as a single mother, as a queer woman? Like you're ticking all the boxes. So what's it like? What is it like?
I would say, okay, the thing is, yeah, I feel like because I've got my family in it, like my sisters and my granddad helps me a lot with the school run. I've been able to be in places where I might not should have been, or I might not have been able to be. And that was mainly when I was working in television world, where it's like they don't care in it. They're just like, we can get 500 other people to fill your space who will be here at 5 a.m. So being able to have these people to sort of lean on was a big help then. I'd say in terms of, you know, working with YOCF and working at Method, there's people who are strong on, you know, prioritize your health, prioritize your family. You know, we're not brain surgeons. We're not soldiers. We're not going into some battlefield. The work will be here tomorrow. So I am able to, when my daughter's sick and I have to pick her up from school, run off. Whereas I know there's a lot of people in places who don't have that, you know, capacity or they don't have that option. So it's either like stay at home with your kids or go to work. Whereas I can sort of do both. Sometimes I work from home, sometimes I work from the studio. And yeah, it's just, I'm able to, do a lot as a mum. I'll say now my daughter's 8, she's starting to get like annoyed at me being at work so much. But, you know, I've got to put food on the table somehow. That's all it is really.
No, that's good, because I wanted to share that, because a lot of the time people who are single mothers or single parents or feel like it's too late and stuff like that. It's never too late for you to pursue your passion and your dream. Like I have an exclusive on this season of this writer called Sunita, and she's in her 30s now, mid-30s actually, and she has currently got a commission what she's working on. She finally got her agent, and that's when she took time to really focus on her career, you know, as a writer. You know, she was working her way up in industry, worked on Star Wars and all that stuff, but then when she finally chose to like focus on her writing, that's when things started to kick off for her. And
happen for her.
And that's how you really should navigate through this industry. There's no one track to success, you know, like I feel like one thing I always say about you is that you surrounded yourself with the best people around you. I feel like you networked, build that foundation and relationships with people in the right spaces, and you built genuine connections. So that's why you was able to have Paul, Israel, myself, your sisters, your friends, everyone come together, and that's what you want to do. You know? And
there's that understanding of, you got a kid. You gotta go.
Exactly. Yeah, we're always like, go, take care of me, or like go take care of, you know, and that's what it's about. And I'm really trying to emphasize like the family. That's what it is. You're building a community of people, and that's just how you kind of move forward. Because you see that with the people we look up to, with their writers' rooms and the writers they've worked with, and that sense of community, what you see a lot of in the Black Hollywood space, you know. And that's why when we went over there to the American Black Film Festival, that's why we got on with so many people, and we was able to send them Talia Versus, and they was able to even give us feedback on it, and really look at that. And you know, and it's funny, wrapping up soon, but it's like, you see how you receive some sort of very negative feedback about your pilot, and it was done in a way which, because I feel like there's a difference between constructive criticism and criticism, or just bitterness. And you know, like for me personally, I don't think anybody who I've sent the pilot to, or they've given, like, what's it called, biased feedback to me, because a lot of the feedback has been a lot of insight, and really good insight into what it is. And one thing I want to be specific about is that if you get certain negative or constructive criticism from somebody who's considered high up, don't take that too personally, or take it as an attack on who you are as your writer, as a career, because not everyone's opinion is valid, and it's not factual either. So
literally, I felt like I 100% agree with what you're saying, because and to segue back, and then I'll come back to this point, but I wasn't always this way in terms of like having a kid and working. So when I had my daughter when I was in college, so like having to go to uni and then try to find an internship, and then try to be like, oh, actually I need to be paid a little bit more, and then I remember, like, initially when I went to meet up with them, I didn't tell anyone that I had a daughter. I was just like, I'm here to work, I'm gonna work, and then when I'm at home, I'll be at home. And I was like, yeah. And then, you know, I think after maybe a month, I was like, yeah, well, I can't come in today. I've got I've got to stay with my daughter. She's ill. And I was like, what, daughter? You got a kid? But yeah, so that was, it's been a lot to navigate, you know, having a kid. It wasn't always easy, and it has gotten a lot more easy with just asking for help. And I think that's a thing that a lot of people don't do, and people are told that you're not supposed to do. And especially as a young person having a kid, because I was told so much, like, you can't do this, you shouldn't do this by yourself, and you shouldn't blah 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 blah. I was deterred from asking for help, because I felt like I shouldn't be in this position anyway. How dare I ask for help? So and that sort of translates over to how I viewed doing film, because then I started, you know, not getting old, but like by the time I'm like 23, I'm seeing people who are 18, 17 making these big films or these amazing projects, and I'm just like, oh, I should be doing that. Why aren't I doing that? Why am I so anxious? You know, I'm super anxious to the point where it could become a hindrance sometimes. And yeah, I think just, again, being like, all right, let me center myself, let me ask for help in the spaces that I need help, and let me push myself out of my comfort zone. That has been something that's really helped me be able to navigate the space. In terms of feedback, like I said, anxious. So a few years ago, if I had gotten like bad feedback on something that I had made, or someone said, do you know what, not for me, I don't like it, or if it got dislikes on YouTube or negative comments, I might have been like, oh, what's that? What does that mean? You know, heart pounding. Oh, maybe I should stop. Maybe I'm not good enough. But I think now I realized every perspective that someone has is valid. And that might be in their world. To them, you don't think it's good, it's not for you, that's fine. Everything ain't for everyone. So that's your business. But for me, I like it. If I like it, if I think it's good, then that should be good enough for me. I'm just gonna keep on going. I'm gonna keep on getting better. And not everyone has to, you know, be along with you for the journey. You just gotta take it in stride and keep doing it for the people around you. Like you said, we've got this community here. And I think, like, I'm doing it for us. I like it, you like it, we have the same taste, so that makes sense. My sister likes it, we have the same taste, so it makes sense. People who share our perspective or our sort of taste might gravitate to it. And those are going to be the best people to say, you know, maybe you should take it in this direction, or I didn't like this, or why did you do that? That wouldn't happen. That I can get with. But if it's just coming from, a completely left view, and your disdain for it is because the characters are Black or because the characters are women, then that's got nothing to do with me. That sounds like a you problem, So, yeah, that's
that you addressed
the word with her.
Oh no, I like that you addressed that, because I suffered huge anxiety as well. I'm still get anxious to this day.
Yeah.
Like when you're doing projects, specifically, I think I touched on this a little bit this season, but when you're doing projects independently and it was with brokenness and you weren't paying people and you're just doing this out of the love of the passion that you have for it. So it was that constant fear of, okay, is anybody going to show up today? Crew, anybody. Like it was just that full of anxiousness. Or, I remember when I saw negative reviews or negative comments about my productions and stuff like that. Yeah, same. It was like gut wrenching, because it's like, as creatives, we are sensitive. People say, oh, you're so sensitive. Yes, I'm sensitive.
Yeah.
This is our child. We've come up with, like, this is our baby. Like, do you get what I mean? Like,
just come out of my brain for no reason whatsoever.
Exactly. We are going to be
put all my money into it.
Exactly. Put all our money into it. We did all the casting, everything. It takes so long to make something. So we are going to be sensitive about it. We want it to do well. We want people to understand the message of what we're trying to convey. So that's just how it is as being as creative. So yeah, but you get to the point where that's why I feel like it's good to put your stuff out there on YouTube, regardless of the content or the production quality. Put it out there and
absolutely.
get used to people talking about your work. And then you just then you kind of learn this tough skin, like, okay, you didn't like it, cool, whatever, or I built this kind of shield of knowing that people are going to lie to your face. So people will say oh yeah, it's good, I enjoyed it. I'm like, cool, whatever. Like, I don't believe you. A lot of people say, oh, you shouldn't be so cynical. Yeah, but I have to be cynical because people will
lie,
and they'll just say that because they don't want to be rude, So that's why I have I've got people like you, I've got my best friend Coulter, they'll give me the real feedback, if detailed feedback.
That's why it's good when you have people come and say, actually, I didn't like it. Because then you can say, all right, cool. This is like, in anyone saying that I didn't like it or whatever, there's always, there's no smoke without fire in it. So if they genuinely didn't like it and they give you 10 reasons, even if you think 9 of their reasons are BS, one of those are going to be something that you can work on.
I agree.
For next time. Like, you can pick sense from the nonsense. You can pick, if it's pure sense, you can take sense from it. If it's just criticism and someone saying, I don't like it because XYZ, then cool, let's move on. And I have had criticism in terms of structure, and I've had criticisms in terms of a few plot holes, which I'm not mad at, because I know we shot it in a day. We shot it in like 12 hours. We cut a lot of scenes towards the end of the day because, time. And then all the shots that were supposed to be outside, we couldn't get because of the rain. Some torrential rain came out of nowhere and just smoked everything. Ruined the gaffer's lights, by the way. I was on a shoot from the other day, Jamie, and he said, that ever since Talia Versus shoot, his C-stands are ruined. I was like, nah. Anyway, moving on.
But
I can't pay you for that right now. But yeah, literally, I think it's one of those things, isn't it? It's just getting on with it, man, and just knowing that you're gonna grow. Like, this is a growing process. A lot of people's first film, second film, third film isn't their best work. Some people hit their stride long into their game. So you just got to keep going, and just, if you love it, it will love you back eventually.
And yeah, because that's the point. Like, just because you've got criticism doesn't mean that you're bad, or because it doesn't mean you're bad. It can be their stuff, their own issues of how they view women or whatever. And but then also you can learn from it as well. But then also I also think that you could reach to the top of your career as to where you're supposed to be and still get criticism by something, because film and TV is subjective. It's always going to be subjective. So so everyone's always going to have an opinion on something, or everyone's always going to have their version as to how they would have done it. And then I think when you get to that place, that's when you're comfortable with your aesthetic, your style, and who you are as a writer, director, producer, whatever. That's what I feel like. To that kind of serene bit, I'm at that point where I'm just like, well, I know the kind of stuff that I want to do and aesthetically how I want it to look. So it's cool. Like, I understand what you mean, but I'm still growing and learning. Like with the execs I'm working.
And who can help you to get there?
Yeah, with the execs I'm working with at the moment, I'm learning for the first time how to liaise with agents for actors on a whole different level. So I'm not afraid to ask them for help or go to them and say, you know what, this is how will I approach this? What can I do to secure this actor? And then I move on to something else.
Asking for help is a thing,
Exactly. And I've got that experience now. So if you want to, you can think about your own insecurities. If you feel like, oh, they're thinking that you're not good at your job because you're asking. No, there's nothing wrong with that. They'd rather you ask for help, and then actually do the job properly. Because what if I didn't ask for help and then fumbled the bag and not get this actor?
Exactly.
So like that's...
And this whole industry is made up. Like, this is made up. It's all made up. It's all based on make believe.
Exactly.
So there are no rules. Just ask.
Exactly. I genuinely feel like this is my longest interview, but as you guys could tell, we are friends. We've been friends for a long time. So these are our usual conversations. So
I've got to say one more thing about that. About I don't actually have to say it, but I want to. You know what you're saying about subjectivity. I just have to like put out one analogy for it. Everyone always talks about how much they love oxtail. I hate oxtail, but I love chicken foot. Yeah, I like chicken foot soup. So everything came for everyone.
I mean, see, I'm an oxtail lover, so it's like I know about this chicken foot. I don't know, but see, each their own. Do you get what I mean? Like you will go out to eat. You'll have your chicken foot. I have my oxtail, and we'll enjoy our meal. Like, and that's it. So I don't understand. So what's next? What can you share is next? Because I've said that I can't talk about certain things, but what's next for you?
Okay, well, I don't really know. I don't know. I'm developing some bits. So we're working on a short film that we're hoping to shoot soon called Arella's Baby. Sort of semi-autobiographical about, being young and being pregnant and sort of making that decision of, should I go through with this or should I sort of go the other route? And I'm also working on a series with Adesua Oni, which is something that she wrote, she created, very cool. And I'm also working on something with my sister Sasha called Peaches and Clementine, a short form series, a couple of episodes, just sort of so she can flex that comedic bone that she's got. I think I just really wanted people to see that. So I just wrote this thing with her in mind and I said, look, this is what we've got. We're going to shoot it. So hopefully shooting that in the next couple of months. So yeah, a lot of things that should be landing around September to December of this year, but all in the pre-production / writing stage. Yeah. But yeah, that's it.
Good. It sounds exciting because
exciting.
That you also are one of the writers on my upcoming web series, my final one called Newlyweds as well, which I'm excited to finally get done. And so where can people find you to like check out your work and socials and stuff like that?
All right, cool. Well, they can check me out. I've mainly spoken from a writing perspective, but I am an editor, like a lot. That's been 90% of my work so far. So you can check me out on my website, saraphinamattis.com. You can check me out on my Instagram at Salabeans. You could check me out on Twitter, which is Fina Film, I think, or at Fina Film. Yes, at Fina Film. Yeah, PHINAFILM, Fina Film. And yeah, that's where you can find me. Watch Talia Versus on YouTube. That's all I'll say. You know.
Good. Well, thank you again for joining me on my podcast. Thanks, guys, for listening. You can follow me all on socials at the Kashif Boothe podcast or Kashif Boothe or Kashif Boothe Entertainment. So many socials. And yeah, thanks for listening. Stay tuned for new episodes coming soon.